My Lunch and Learn, where each and every week I explore topics to help you elevate your mindset, be at your best, and radically expand your life and business. And today I am so a very special guest with me, Carolyn Westlake. She is a high vibration coach who's going to be sharing about the power essential oils have for your mind, your body, and your spirit. So there are so many practical use essential oils in life and business. So if you are looking for natural solutions to reduce your stress and anxiety, to elevate your energy levels and really maintain that positive mindset, you are in the right place. So just before I bring Carol, I know that some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm Larissa McCook. I'm CEO of Abundance Academy and a master results coach that helps professional women whose external results tell the world they're successful, but on the inside, they know they're destined for more. I help them fill their gaps, go after their dreams so they can love themselves, love their business, and love their life once again. So Ellen is phenomenal. I am so excited to have her here. We like to bring guests onto this platform, into my Lunch and Learn show, because I truly feel that we have so much to learn from one another, especially from experts in their field. And I met Carolyn, and I believe we met on LinkedIn and just had a random meeting. And I just absolutely fell in love with her because she had this energy that was magnetic to me. And I use essential oils, and we started talking about essential oils, and she really knew her stuff. She's actually she's a high vibration coach who has a true passion for improve their health and wellness in a natural way with natural healing modalities. And she empowers others to really own self-worth. She is a healer for healers. And over the past 6 years, she has helped transform lives with healing modalities that include mindset shifting and powerfully heal oils. So she finds that once clients fully honor their self-worth, their confidence shoots up and they can absolutely shine their light very, very brightly. So when she's not helping her clients and healers heal, she can be found on the baseball field, cheering her sons on, traveling and exploring and dining, whining and dining. She is interested in music and loves to travel the world. So I'm going to bring her on here. She is phenomenal. Hello, Carolyn. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for having me. It's lovely to be here.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're here. I remember after our first conversation, I love oils, but I got reinvigorated to really more intentional with how I was showing up and some of the ways I was practicing my own self-care. I remember when I first heard of essential oils, I thought they were things that make rooms smell nice. And I just never liked the perfume aisle of a department store. Do you ever get a headache when you walk by one of those?
I can't tolerate it anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was my perception of essential oils. And I remember I heard a presentation. I was a speaker at an event, and I heard someone speaking about essential oils. And she actually educated my whole world changed. And so now I have tons of oils. I diffuse them. But truly think that more people need to understand what these are and how they can actually work in your life. So I'd love to have you just tell us and tell the audience a little bit about yourself and how you got started in this work, essential oils, and in what kinds of capacities you use them.
Sure. So it was really out of personal need is how I got using essential oils. My youngest son has special needs, and so as a mom, you're looking for anything to help. And the learning issues were a big issue for us, but more so was the emotional aspect of all of that. So essential oils were mentioned to me, and the woman who had talked about them said she'd used them for her significant health issues that she had been able to get off prescription medication. And I now know how serious of a health issue she had, but it didn't really resonate as much as her telling me that she used them for her daughter for learning and for emotions. So I need to know that. And so that's how I got using them. And they had an impact so quickly on my son and just helping to calm him. And the focus was a big thing. So he's under the ADHD spectrum. And so that was, it was just, instantaneous almost, the results we were getting. So, and the causal of that was it helped my own anxiety. I was diagnosed with an anxiety disorder in 2010. I worked in corporate for 29 years and had a really, really stressful job and was off on 2 sick leaves during that period of time. So it was in amongst all of that I started using essential oils and realized how beneficial they were for my own anxious mind. So that just led me down a path that turned into a business, which I didn't even know there was a business to oils. I didn't understand any of that. And then just, my audience really initially was other parents with kids with special needs, and then anxious minds and our mental health. And that's just led me where I am today and doing it on a full-time basis.
And so can you explain to people, I'm sure people have heard essential oils. They've seen the little bottles, right? I have a box on my desk. I have a good soul energy box, right? You see these little bottles, you see them hanging around. And so what are essential oils, just for those that don't know what they are?
Yeah. So they're volatile aromatic compounds. And so they come from all different types of plants, or they come from tree bark, the roots of the tree, roots of plants. Even the citrus rind is used as an essential oil. And so there's a real art to the distillation of extracting an essential oil. And so that's what there's a lot of essential oils on the market, but a lot are adulterated or contaminated because if they're not managed from from the start of the distillation process to the end, you can lose the efficacy of the oil and the potency. So it's really important that you're getting your oils from a good source. So the oils I represent are doTERRA oils. So we source from the indigenous countries, so that they're grown in the best climate, best soil. We work directly with the farmers because they understand what the process is, and then the testing that goes involved into the doTERRA oils. And so it's it takes a lot of a product to make an essential oil. So it's and that's why it becomes such a costly commodity. And so then you really want to make sure you're buying the best oils. Lots of companies sell them and they can be really inexpensive. But if you're buying an inexpensive oil, you probably are getting a fragrance as opposed to an actual essential oil.
And I heard, tell me if this is true, but I heard that a lot of the sort of less expensive oils, every oil has a different price point depending on what it is,
correct,
how it's manufactured. But some of the just drugstore brands, we'll say, tend to have a lot of alcohol or additives and other substances. Is that
true? And they also can be, depending on the variety of the plant itself. So oregano can have 4 different species within it, and oftentimes it'll be the one that's easier to come by, is the one that is used sort of generically, but it doesn't necessarily have the most therapeutic benefit to that variety of the oregano plant. So it's having an understanding of the chemistry of the plant as well makes a big difference. So oregano oil that you can buy from your drugstore, lots of people will just take that internally. You couldn't do that with the doTERRA oregano, it would burn. That's because of, and that is a perfect oil just to show the difference in the two products.
Very cool. I had no idea. And I love the educational component. I firmly believe that the more you really can start to self-manage. And I think that it's self-management, and this idea of bringing a natural substance to our bodies so that we can heal ourselves, so we can manage ourselves, is so powerful. So what you mentioned, learning disabilities, stress, calm, anxiety, what else are essential oils actually used for? What?
So I guess the best emotions is a really great way to use oils. So inhaling them or diffusing them, you can affect your mood very quickly by what happens is, so diffusing, or if you were to just put a drop of oil in your hands, And doTERRA oils, 1 to 2 drops is a dose. That's all you need because they are so potent. Just cup your hands over your nose and take in some big inhales. And what that's doing is triggering the olfactory bulb in your nose, which is connected to the limbic system in the brain. And the limbic system controls your emotions, your mood, your blood pressure, your heart rate. And it releases neurochemicals neurotransmitters in the body. So it helps modulate your moods. It helps with neuroplasticity. It can change pathways in the brain. So really powerful when you understand that. And especially in sort of coaching or therapy, when you can use those oils to help you move through emotions, energy and motion, emotions are energy and motion, move that through your body, it makes for an easier way to deal with that emotion. And we really are actually feeling a physical vibration in our body when we're feeling an emotion, and our fight or flight kicks in to protect us, and we often run from that feeling or mask it in some way. Whereas if you can remember that, and that vibration in your body only is going to last for 60 to 90 seconds. Using an oil helps you move through that, and then you pass that emotion on you. That energy actually passes through, and because that's where disease creates. It's when we get stagnant energy in the body, that's where our circulatory system, things are not flowing properly, and that's often where disease starts. So it's important to get those emotions and move them through us, and so the oils really help to facilitate that nicely.
Okay, so I want to get this because I feel like this is really important, and I want to make sure I get it for myself and our viewers do as well. So stagnant energy leads to dis-ease. Yes.
Right.
And I think I remember work done once, and the person that was doing the live blood analysis, he's like, when cells are stuck together, that means they're very unhealthy. When cells are buoyant and they're just bobbing around and they're nice and round and bumping into one another gently, they're happy, they're healthy. Yeah. And that's essentially what you're saying is you're helping on a cellular level to have the body work with itself.
Exactly. There's actually an oil with doTERRA called Balance. It's our grounding oil, and it's made up of all tree oils. And so what a tree does, the oils do similarly, like they're sturdy, they're grounding. They'll do the same thing within our body. And they've taken a blood analysis prior to using Balance, and then using the Balance. And so you can see your cells are all coagulated. They're not nicely formed. They're all bunched together. After 20 seconds of using Balance oil, they're all free flowing, nicely shaped, and everything's moving through. So the Balance actually helps oxidate those cells, and then using any other oils on top of that they just respond even better. So it's really cool to see that and how fast they work. And that's the power of essential oils is when you inhale them, it takes about 22 seconds to affect the chemicals in the brain, 2 minutes to get into your bloodstream, and 20 minutes to affect every cell in the body. So I say to people, like, if you've tried a peppermint oil, so I suggest that for head tension and
I just pulled mine. When you were talking about inhaling, I'm like, maybe I'd like to inhale mine.
It's a peppermint oil is a buoyant heart is an oil. So each of the oils have an emotional element to them as well. So it really does actually help lift and raise your vibration, lifts you up. But also, in that you're taking in, it opens up your blood vessels. So you're able to take in more oxygen. And then it helps take pressure off. So that's with, a headache and things like that. That's why it can be so beneficial. Ingesting as well before fitness, tests have shown that you're actually taking in more oxygen and your performance is better. So they're powerful. They're,
okay. I'm gonna use mine because
I'm going to do that. Me too. I can breathe better.
So when it comes to, okay, you said 2 minutes, 22 seconds. Oh, and I love peppermint.
22 seconds. 22 seconds to the brain.
Brain. Minutes to the bloodstream, and last number that you gave us.
20 minutes for every cell in the body. So if I've just used that peppermint oil, so oftentimes if I have a headache, I'll put a drop of that on the roof of my mouth and hold that for about 20 seconds. and then cup over my nose and take those big inhales, and then take my hands with the peppermint still on, apply that to the back of your neck. Anywhere that you're feeling any tension, you can just, and the peppermint actually cools your body down as well. So hot in the heat of the summer, it's great to be using to bring the body temperature down. But if you don't start to feel a result with that, like the lessening of the head tension, all of that, then, and I usually say by 10 minutes, then I'm moving on to a different oil. Because that is, and it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with the peppermint oil. It's just not working with the chemical constituents in my body at this particular time. And we all have, we all respond a little bit differently just based on our own chemical constituents. And so peppermint may work for me and not for you, but there'll be another oil. Like peppermint oil has 205 active ingredients in it. So it's an analgesic, it's an anti-inflammatory, like the list goes on and on. So, and a lot of oils have similar components. So I might reach for a respiratory oil that's going to help open my lungs more so than the peppermint will work for me. So it's just sort of navigating them. And as you use them, it becomes a little more intuitive. You do with them. And so you just sort of figure out what works for you and really on any given day.
Yeah. So you've mentioned 3 different ways you can use them. So you can use them in a diffuser, right? You pop them in a diffuser and use them aromatically.
Yes.
Or you can even put them in your hands and just inhale them.
Yep.
Peppermint, keep your eyes a little closed.
Yes.
I know sometimes it tends to burn. The second way was internally.
Yes. And when I say that, that's speaking really with doTERRA oils. And that's because of the testing and with each bottle of doTERRA oils is labeled and numbered. So you can go online and find out exactly what's in there. A lot of other companies don't have that transparency. So you just don't know then what's in there.
And some oils are okay to ingest, some aren't. And there are better times and better circumstances to ingest them. So I guess doing your homework to make sure that there are no contraindications, right? With pregnancy, then just do your homework.
There are. And typically the oils that can be ingested are like things that you can eat. So if you can eat, herbs and spices and citrus and all those we can be taking internally as well. And it's so, so they're not sometimes they can seem really scary. They're really not. Common sense a lot comes into play. Small doses. And that's it. The less is more, but more often is the thing with oil. So, so you have to kind of get your mind set around from, like, we're used to taking a pill bottle and, take 1 pill and that lasts for the day. You have to be a little more consistent with the oils, but you then can do it naturally and with a lot less side effects.
And then the third way is just topically. So on a tense area of your body, or if there's an achy area, depending on the oil, different oils will serve different purposes. Yes?
Absolutely. Yeah. And so they penetrate the skin very quickly. And so that, especially like if you've got an ache, you've hurt your shoulder, you want to do a more targeted application of those oils.
Yeah. Now, I have a couple more questions before we wrap. So you mentioned ADHD, and I think that seems, whether people are formally diagnosed with ADHD or not, focus is, especially with these things out there, these have been a blessing in some ways for us to stay connected. They've also been a really huge way to get disconnected and really lower attention spans in almost everyone out there globally. So I think focus is a really big challenge, and people tend to just start getting distracted. What are some of the oils that helped your son, and which oils do you find are most helpful for getting that focus in place, especially if you're in business, right? If you're in business, you want to be able to complete a project. You want to be a day. You want to stay fully present with the person that you're talking to. What oils are exceptional for focus?
And it's a simple oil actually, and it's lemon. Lemon oil is one that really helps. Yeah, it's for clarity and focus. That's the one I suggest the most. I actually suggest Melaleuca to start. And so Melaleuca is an astringent or very cleansing, but I actually put it on the top of my head, and it's the oil for boundaries. So those boundaries like that, we get that external noise. right? And that's the social media, whatever judgment of others, all of that. So that it just put in here. I mean, and also any of your pulse points are a really great way to get into the bloodstream. When you use your wrists and your elbow creases, that is working with the pericardium area and up into your lungs and your heart area, which is often where we carry a lot of emotions, and we can be quite constricted here, or our voice is often closed off, and that. So and that gets right into the bloodstream, and then it's moving up into that area. Also applying on the heart. I apply my oils here often, and it's I mean, I know it now because I've done it for so long, but I can really feel just a relaxing through that whole area by applying them in that area. The occipital point in the back of the neck is a great way to get into the brain as well. And any of your pulse points in behind your ears is effective. The bottoms of your feet, each foot has 7,000 nerve endings. Your big toe controls your head. So really, really powerful to be able to drive some focus into those areas. You need to be mindful, though, of citrus oils because they're photosensitive. So that means if you apply a citrus oil to your skin, you don't want to expose it to the sunshine for 12 hours. So you just want to that's the one oil that you really, the one type of oils that you really want to be mindful of, because that I've had a burn, and they're really significant, serious burns. So you want to really just be careful with that.
So for improving focus, it would be lemon and tea tree or melaleuca.
Yep.
And applying it to any of those points.
Yes.
That makes it for you.
Yes, I often like to put with that peppermint and lemon. So the cleansing of the lemon, and it's uplifting, but also then you've got the clearing of the airways with the peppermint, and the buoyant heart, the emotional part. So raising your vibration. It's a great way to just sort of get down to business. Like you just, and I've started actually a doctor I've been following. He talks about, because doTERRA's oils are so potent, we often say you don't need a ton of them in your diffuser, but this doctor is talking about actually putting a substantial amount in there. Like he's up to about 20 drops between the oils that he does, which is quite a bit. But I've been sleeping with that. I would say in the last week, and I do believe I'm getting into a deeper sleep. So there's some real, real benefits in doing that.
Yeah. And so we talked about focus. I think that's one really big thing for us to elevate business. What would you say, what are a couple of oils that are great for stress reduction and maybe to help us just slow down time and to calm down? I think sometimes, especially in our days, right? We're busy with work. We're busy with kids. We have multiple projects on the go. We are running, being all things to everyone. And just to be able to calm down. And I love finding tools and tips and strategies to literally slow down time so I can have a richer experience in my day.
Right.
Because if I'm just rushing, you can still get a lot done, calm state. Everything just works with so much more flow. What would you say are the best ones for calming and to help you really get into that beautiful flow?
Well, there's a ton. So if I started to list them, I guess I'll say it in this way. Tree oils and flower oils will be more on a calming level. So, and then it's sort of what you resonate with. Like some florals can be just too like rose oil for me is when the pure rose oil, I find it's so intense, but it's so powerful as well. And so I'll speak a little bit about the frequency of oils, just sort of in this. Dr. Hawkins has the emotional frequency chart of where we resonate. And a lot of us spend time in shame and guilt, which is the lowest vibrational frequency emotion you can have. When you use an essential oil, so those are, I think, 20 to 30 megahertz on the scale. When you use rose oil, it has the highest frequency of 340 megahertz. So when you use that oil, your body physically can't stay in that vibration, that frequency any longer. It pulls you up. And so really using any oil will get you out of that shame and guilt vibration. And so, and then of course, vibration, we get ourselves up, our law of attraction kicks in, and the world is better. So those are there, but floral and tree oils would be my go-to for calming. I also like to add in a citrus to that, or a more buoyant type oil, because I find that there's a nice synergy. It's an uplifting and the calming at the same time really works for me. So sometimes you just, a happier oil will get you to that calmer state as well.
So I love what I guess I've heard you say is there's no one size fits all. There's some really good general guidelines. It's kind of like our work. Everyone's like, Larissa, give me the solution to this. I'm like, yeah, so here's the general thing, and we have to make it work for you, optimize for you. So if someone wants to really delve into essential oils and find the right mix of what's appropriate for them specifically, is that something you could help them with?
Absolutely. Yeah. And doTERRA has designed kits like to get started. We have like our top 10 kits, which is really replaces your medicine cabinet, basically.
Yeah.
So they know, but amongst that, the physical elements also deal with so many emotional elements within that. So and there's an overall savings when we do it that way. But yes, it really is. I think we have like the 300 oils that are available that you can pick and choose from to best serve your needs. And then as you go, you just sort of, you figure out what's working for you. And then, that may lead you more down into the root, the tree oils, or, you're more drawn to citrus and things like that. So it's, you can't really make a mistake. Oftentimes an oil that you don't like the smell of, it's often the negative emotions of that oil that is what repels you. So although you maybe don't like it, it's probably what you should be using to help get you out of that. Right. And so that's when I say use it on your feet. They're far enough away from your nose, but you're going to get the benefits of them. But I'm blown away when I read. I have an emotions book, and when I read like geranium oil, I never really liked, and then when I understand why, I'm like, oh, I need this oil. Yeah. So it's pretty cool.
Well, I would love to know what's the emotions book that you are referencing?
It's called Emotions and Essential Oils. Can you see? It's
beautiful.
Yeah. It's my Bible. It's just incredible.
I'm writing that down. Yeah. I clearly, I think I've shown this to you before, but this is my library. So I have a thing for books.
You need one more, I think.
You can always find space for one. And I truly think essential oils have been something that has been a blessing. I use them with my son. You mentioned rose oil, and we put rose on the heart. And my son, he's 5, and he's like, when people are bad, when things are going wrong, what do you need to do? You give them more love. You send, whoop. There we go. You disappeared. There we go. You send them more love and more love and more love. And love is really what makes the world go round. And I knew it was among the highest frequencies. I didn't realize it was the highest frequency emotion. And it truly is extremely powerful. I have to plug in my computer.
No, sorry, love is not the highest emotion on the frequency scale, but it's high up there.
Of the essential, right? Yes, but of the essential oils that you have, right?
Correct.
So yes. I knew it was that. However, of the essential oils, it's the highest frequency essential oil physically to impact the emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's absolutely wonderful. I have fun playing and exploring with these essential oils. And if anyone is interested in just reaching out to you or connecting with you to either purchase products, or I know you also do work one-on-one with clients if they're in the Toronto area, like you actually do body work with them, and you do energy clearing in person, which is, I haven't stopped by yet, but I am going to sign up for that very soon, because I think that's so powerful to be able to have that experience. How can people get in touch with you?
LinkedIn here is a great way, or YouTube. I'm on there as Carolyn's Essential Oils, as well as on Facebook. You can get me as Carolyn Westlake or Carolyn's Essential Oils on my page there, and even through Messenger and then I'll and just if you highlight that we were connected in this group, then I'll certainly pay attention. And I mean, I pay attention anyway, but it'll just make that connection for me.
Okay. Well, what I'll do, I'll make sure that my team puts all of your links in the description of the video. Does want to get in touch with you, then they have access to that, because I really love that personal experience of essential oils transform your kid's life and all of the other people that you've worked with, right? You've worked with hundreds of people. You have hundreds of people on your team. You don't just have a team of like a few people. You're like, I have over 500 people on my team, right? You're in it. You're not just a dabbler in this. You don't just drop an oil. You eat, sleep, and breathe it. You have a practice. And I love that you combine this passion of yours with helping others in the business world, helping others in their personal lives overcome some of the stresses, so they can live life with more ease and live life with more joy. So do you have any final words or anything that you'd like to leave our listeners with before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think I would just say that if you've been thinking about oils, or they're even sort of really strange to you, try them. Give it a try. And
oops, sorry,
that's
you're
okay.
back. There we go.
And just give it a go. You don't know until you try something, and we don't know what we don't know, and you just never know what doors may open once you do, and how you may feel.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, viewers, for tuning in. We will be back again next week. I have another special guest next week that will be revealed earlier on in the week in our social media. She's going to be talking about the power of gratitude and really how it has transformed. So stay tuned for that. Thank you, Carolyn, for joining us. And I can't wait to have you back again. I know you're going to be doing something special for in a few weeks, and very experiential evenings. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll see you again.